It does look like things are heating up. With the Ripple buyback being highlighted in the market, we have various different news and viewpoints inside the market. You have this one here. At the same time, you do get this from CTO of Ripple. Then you actually go back and look at what we had in terms of news, right? Why they were doing this. And at the same time, you try and understand what amount they were buying back before. So you actually see that they do buy back from the market. But the amount of buyback highlighted here is a little bit way bigger. And I tried to go through the entire internet and I couldn't actually see much of information after this. And if we do see this, they may actually say we're going to do this in next 3 years, next 5 years. But right now, with what's happening with SEC, this doesn't look possible. If it is, then that means there is some agreement between the company Ripple and SEC. Otherwise, this wouldn't come true. But what makes things really more interesting is what we are observing in the world right now. In Australia, we are watching this. Westpac, which is one of the biggest banks in Australia, restricts the customer withdrawal to 667. I'm like, okay, maybe they could have done it 666 and highlighted the point easily. But they're saying, okay, 667. But keep this in mind. Even if your money is in the bank, you cannot withdraw the cash as you wish. Now, they'll actually give you many reasons, but at the same time, they will also ask you why you have to withdraw this amount of cash. You need to now explain it to them, and that is where things like this come into picture. BRICS, considering using Bitcoin for cross-border transactions. If you are transacting cross-border right now, they ask you a ton of questions, even if it's to your own account, say from India to Canada, India to Korea, whatever you're doing, they ask a ton more questions when you're transferring your own money. So that is one of the reasons where decentralized movement of money becomes important. And then we watch how things are evolving. One of the important stuff here is Circle, the company doing the transfer using USDT, is now talking about different aspects, one of which includes Stellar. So we actually see how things are evolving. If you're watching the mass media, they actually give you a very bad narrative. Say while Bitcoin was 6,200, 5 years ago, they actually give you the entire episode where they were saying we have funeral for Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't actually look really interesting, because the price, even after a massive drop right now, looks something like this, 30,000. That's a 500% run up since then. So what are we really watching out? Yesterday, we saw the price of XRP dropping from 0.496 towards 0.4781. And today we are watching that the price is at 0.48. What's going to be next? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% in crypto world. Right now, yes, Bitcoin is slowing down, but we do see assets like, say, Kava, Bitcoin Cash, and others slowly riding up and then starting a burst. So if you are watching the market, you do have an idea that these assets are showing you possible moves. Say, right now, if you look at Bitcoin Cash, it's $212. And earlier this month, we actually posted this, trying to bounce off from the support level with a bullish flag. That's a bullish pattern showing the prices at the support and trying to bounce off. So oftentimes, you actually see, most likely 60 to 65% of times, you actually see these breaking to the upside. And the first target was 154. We already hit that level. And now we are going on to the medium to long-term targets for this particular asset. Now you actually see the waves break out. This is like a macro level, and it even wicked a little bit lower than this particular range. But remember, right now, if you go look at what waves as an asset is doing, it's actually having a crazy move. Volatility is coming back into the market. So yes, this is a month old, but it does show you the possible movement in the market. Right now it's $2.61. When we posted, it was somewhere close to 1.7. Now it did drop in between. We actually had this breakout call in that term. But while you look at the market and see all these massive movements happening in the market, you do have to keep this in mind. See, assets like Kava is actually riding to the upside now. We actually had this possibility highlighted before, showing, okay, we are at a breakout level. We are actually breaking. If we do, look for the higher levels. And right now you're watching, we are headed towards those levels. So if you are interested in posts like that on different assets on different horizon, and whether some of them are opportunity or a red flag, now you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So now jumping back into the market and what we actually see. If you remember, we actually talked about this yesterday. Prepare for volatility. There are some issues in the price action side of things, because on the fundamentals, it does actually look pretty interesting. It does look positive. But on the price action side of things, we're seeing actually sellers are entering or buyers are slowing down. If you actually look at these levels, it actually makes a lot of sense. See, if you think there is a lot of volatility in the price action here with all these long wicks, use a line chart. It kind of makes things a little bit more easier, right? You actually went up, great. You got resisted at this particular range. Okay, after which you came down, but you really wanted to retest this particular level. So the price came back to retest that and it got rejected there. What happened? You dropped to the downside. So while we observe these factors, now if you actually look at the same structure here, you came to the upside, you consolidated there, you were not able to break to the upside. Now you got rejected. You tried to bounce back up, but it was cut short at this particular level of resistance, which means price may go test the support. The first level of support happens to be here, and the next key range is going to be here, 0.45. So the first level is 0.47, which I think have higher odds of breaking to the downside. So 0.44, 0.45 now becomes a valid range to look out for. Now, if it does break that level, now you can look for this particular range, which is around 0.41. So price does show you some downside movement in the short-term horizon. Yes, macro looks entirely different. It's looking positive. It's bullish. But short-term movements does create opportunities, because if you actually draw a trend line, you'll possibly note the fact that we tested that level. We tried to bounce off from that level, and now we got rejected. We broke that to the downside. We came back up to retest that particular level and got rejected. So if you actually break 0.4835, that means XRP is further going towards the next major support levels. So if you actually take a look at the same asset on a weekly, say in Japanese candlestick pattern, it kind of gives you a positive narrative. Meaning the bounce off was from 0.41, you actually came slowed down at 0.56. You didn't make a higher high there. So if you even manage to put in a higher low, that still stays positive. But the issue here is, if Bitcoin as an asset is getting more attention in the market and making these volatility, that means money is most likely moving into that particular asset. Because the way Bitcoin is moving right now, short-term movements, volatility, it will still happen, but the range you're looking for the downside is only this, 29,800. So even if you get a wick to the downside towards 29,500, that still is bullish for this asset. What does that mean? Meaning, if you actually watch the price action and say, okay, Bitcoin actually went up like this, and it's slowing down like this, that means most likely the next move is going to be looking like this. That is bullish in my opinion. I mean, if you are looking at this, if the price is dropping towards the base here and then bouncing, that means you're now looking towards a higher high formation coming on a daily. So maybe next 2 or 3 days, we may slow down a little bit. And then within the next 3 to 5 days, we may actually start bouncing back up. That may sound shocking at this moment, saying, okay, we are going to go down, but it is not much because we have actually seen similar moves in the same asset historically. See, if you actually look at this level, you slow down a little bit, it literally was like we're going back down, but then it actually bounced back up. So from 20,000 towards 25,000, the movement was $5,000 back then. Now, if you actually put that into perspective on a weekly chart and look at where we are right now, yes, we are testing a major resistance, but the price action is not slowing down. MACD is crossing back to the upside on the positive area, which is bullish. Then look at the RSI, it's breaking back higher above the moving average, that's bullish. Now look at the price action, it's bouncing away from the 21-day moving average. So you're looking at the price, the indicators, which are the most used in the entire markets. Let it be the crypto market, let it be the stock market, you see these indicators being used the most. Now, if that is true, that means in next 3 to 6 months, it's going to be really interesting, especially for Bitcoin as an asset. And what does that actually mean for the altcoins, right? That's where we actually come back looking at Ether, XRP, and other assets. And we see like, okay, we are slowing down here. Literally, we actually had a good move from 1,600 towards 1,930. And we got rejected a couple of times at this level of resistance, which is that 1,900 or 1,900. Now, it seems like, okay, you may actually correct back down towards 1780, 1770, that range to find some level of buying or support. Historically, if we look past last couple of months, we actually see that particular level attracting some buying power. So if that comes back in and we bounce from the 21-day moving average, it's positive. So during the same time, we may see XRP also coming back down towards the 21-day moving average. Now, it is not that scary. It is not that scary as it actually seems. But if you are panicking with all these short-term volatility incoming, that can make it bad for your portfolio. Whereas there are people who are literally buying here and selling here. That's just the opposite of what you should be doing. You should be selling here and buying back here, selling here. Now, if you're not sure about where to buy, where to sell in this short-term structure, leave that as a whole. Whenever it drops huge, 30-40%, now you buy. When it actually runs back up and you watch the prices getting resisted at that particular level, you sell it off there. You don't actually have to go through a lot of details. But if you're literally watching what we are talking here, we are literally giving you the perspective that something big is coming. But before that, we are literally going to watch a corrective action in the market. And right now, we can actually see with a certain degree of certainty that we went back up to test the moving average. We're getting rejected, and it's not only the moving average. It was the previous level which we broke. We went back up, we retested that. Now that's a line chart, so it gives you a little bit more clarity. But if you actually consider the noise in the market, what the market tried to do during that particular day, you actually see long wicks to the downside, which means on that particular day, sellers won, run. Two, they even pushed the price all the way down to 0.47. Buyers came back in, that's true, they pushed back the price to the upside. But as we understand, sellers won that particular day, which means even if short term the buyers are pushing against them, there is a lot of selling happening. That means the price will come down, and we saw the price coming back down. This is what we are watching right now. We actually saw sellers winning this particular day, showing a hammer, which is just a continuation pattern, which is a corrective action here happening for this particular candle. Now we are getting rejected here with a hammer. So here you got an inverted hammer, here it's a hammer, which means at least you're coming back down here. And if you do find support at the range of 0.47, that's a double bottom possibility. But if you are breaking that level, now 0.44, then you come back to 0.41. So you have multiple levels to the downside to watch. So is it bullish on the macro? Yes, it is. But if you're considering buying opportunities, then you may actually have better opportunities in the market. Which means if you actually see the price breaking this particular trend line of 0.47, now you are literally waiting for the price to come back somewhere close to this range, which can be close to 0.38, 0.39, or 0.41. These can be attractive levels for any buyers in XRP, the asset. Now, again, based on these timing and the movement of the asset on the short term versus the macro, the moves, if you're watching things closely enough, say on a 4-hour chart or short-term movements, and you're getting confused, there can be massive volatility for sure. So right now, the price action actually suggests you that it may even go back up to retest this level of 0.4921. But does that guarantee a run to the upside? Most likely not. Why? Because you are just retesting this break. So yeah, you do broke to the downside, so you may actually go back up, retest the level of 0.49, 5.5. You may even get a little bit of wick there. But if you're actually looking for these kind of thought process on a various list of assets inside the crypto market, where you actually do get these updates on time for you to actually take a better decision, showing how history repeats itself and give you these opportunities before they actually start taking off like this, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I appreciate that a lot. So that's it. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.